I think today still our quorum is not complete. 23 students are there. But anyway, I'll start with the today's topic. We are looking for actually we are start the fifth chapter, and in this fifth chapter we are their characteristics and most important as far as syllabus is concerned. Then we'll have to study what is the display adapters and mostly display SVG adapter. Let us say now here when you talk about the adapters, normally we call as a video cards that is responsible for displaying videos onto your monitors or images onto your monitor. Then these video cards can be of two types. One can be internal video cards, that is onboard video cards, or sometimes video card can be external video cards. Mostly, if it is nowadays, if it is an external video card, then that is mostly your AGP card, or that normally or popularly you use for multimedia operations or very fast graphics operations. Then what is basically video card? As we said, it is the interface between computer and display device. So it is in between the display device and computer. Then unless a computer has graphics capability built into the motherboard, the video card is required. That means computer must have a graphic capability. When we say graphic capability, I mean video card is on board. The CPU working in conjunction with the software applications, it actually sends the information about the images to the video card. The video card decides how to use the pixels on the screen to create the image. So this is the basic function of video card. It is responsible for showing the images onto the screen. It actually manages all the pixels of the monitor. It then sends the information to the monitor through the output interface. Here output interface we normally used nowadays to either you use VGA or you use HDMI or sometimes DVI interface is also used. Then a brief information about video cards. IBM has introduced video cards somewhere in 1981 called the monochrome display adapter, that is MDA, which is provided text only displays of green or white text in a black screen. This is a very old video cards. Then presently, the minimum standard for new video cards is video graphics array, that VGA, which allows 256 colors. In fact, VGA nowadays VGA can also allow millions of colors. With high performance standards like quantum extended graphics array, that is QXGA, that is just about to SXGA, Super XGA. Video cards can display millions of colors at resolution of up to 2040 into 1536 pixel. Now you know that even these cards are capable now showing a very high pixels, that is of 4K pixels, up to 4K pixels. Let's see now what are the different components of a video card. I hope now you understand what is video card. As I said, it can be onboard card or it can be external card. It is actually the interface between computer graphics or a graphic processing unit. काय नाही ना हो हो graphics controller or graphic processing unit, that is called as GPU. Then video RAM, digital to analog converter, normally called as DAC. Attribute controller, which decides actually the attributes or the colors on the pixels. Then output interface, that is how this uh, video card is connected to your monitor through different interfaces like RGB, composite or DVI interface. Then the different bus interfaces are used, and sometimes there is an onboard bias. So let's see all these in details. If you see these components, different components on a video card, let's say this is a diagram that is showing how the video card could be. This video card, earlier video card was of old type of cards were normally used. Nowadays you'll find PCI cards are more common for this video. But anyway, whichever is the card, that card would be fit into the slots. And if you see externally what are the components, the very first component that it shows on the left hand side. So this is VGA feature connector that we use to connect other expansion card to the transfer data from each other. That means if you see this particular slot, this is the expansion slot, and this can be used to connect other expansion cards. Then second most important, that is the RAM DAC. RAM DAC means this is actually, it is controls the digital image coming from the PC and convert it into the analog signal for the monitor. Now you have already understood. Now let's take for this example. This is SVGA monitor connector. That means VGA monitor connector. Then if you see the output of VGA is, as we said, it is the RGB, and this is analog signals. So what will be these digital signals of that particular image that has to be converted into corresponding RGB. And for this D2A converter is used. This is called as a RAM DAC converter, and it is integrated onto the graphics controller chip. So this is actually a RAM DAC shown as a
Hello, sir.
any monitor in different modes, that is VGA mode, SVGA mode, HD mode, or 4K mode. So that is called as a graphics mode definition. And depending upon your requirement, you can select the resolution of your monitor. At the same time, how the fonts could be displayed. That screen fonts, there certain routines are there, software routines, and these are contained into your video buys. Then there can be certain local peripheral bus used to add-ons such as MPEG daughter board. Maybe if you want to play certain MPEG videos, then in that case it will be useful. Then video expansion are also available either as a VRAM plugin or also available as plugin daughter board. Then there is a series of onboard video RAM, that is we normally called as a VRAM. Then the most important, that is capable of displaying different images, that is called as a graphics processor chip. This is also popularly called as GPU. GPU, that is nothing but the processor. That is this is the heart of the graphic card. It controls resolution as well as color depth. That means how many colors, availability of colors with RAM DAC, and all the elements associated with rendering the images on the screen. So this is the more important part. In other words, these are the different parts of on video card. Let's see these parts in detail. The very first is video card, that is graphics unit processor GPU. Similar to CPU but designed specifically to perform the complex mathematical and geometrical calculation necessary for graphics rendering. If you see the today's GPU, this is very specific processor. This is normally available on an external board or external card, or normally GPU is an additional unit in comparison to CPU. And if you see the number of cores into GPU, you will find there can be about thousands of cores are there in a GPU, as against to quad core or octa core, or at the most 8 cores are there in the CPU. But against these 8 cores in the CPU, there can be thousands of cores in the GPU, and the function of the core is just similar to it are just doing the mathematical or geometrical calculations and nothing else. So that is why this does. So here, what will be the function that is to be done by this? So here, this particular function is done by almost what we can say thousands of core processors are there in the GPU, and which is actually responsible for doing mathematical or geometrical calculation, which are responsible for graphics render. There is a less congestion on the system bus because it has got its own system bus. It directly communicates with memory or it directly communicates with the CPU through its own bus. Reduction in the workload of CPU, obviously it takes care of manipulating or calculating the all what we say floating point calculations or geometrical calculations. These operations, it actually responsible bitmap transfers, painting, windows resizing, repositioning, line drawing, font scaling, polygon drawing, etc. These are all geometrical operations. And all the geometrical operations are performed by GPU. Some GPU has an image enhancement algorithm built in, that is 3D edge smoothing. So this is called as these additional algorithms are inbuilt into GPUs. Then this is the one picture of GPU as such, how this GPU looks like. So this is the one graphics processor unit card, which is an one external card, which you can take as an and here if you take, you will find it has got its own VGA or external interface. This is entirely a new socket, and from this you will come to know that this socket is an PCI card or PCI expansion card. From the pin diagram you can see from this below. Some of the latest GPU have more transistors than average CPU and produce a lot of heat. Heat sinking and fan coolings are required. That is why it has got its own cooling fan. Remember, as I said, GPU has got more cores than conventional CPU has. Of course, the capability is limited. It has to do some specific functions. It is not as intelligent like a CPU, which can take any instruction, interpret and process it, but it is just doing the some fixed type of work. Then video card memory, that is video memory. Normally we say VRAM. It is used for frame buffering. When we say frame buffer, it is actually holds the completed image until it's time to display them. That means images are displayed onto monitor one after the another. So whichever is currently being displayed, the next images to be displayed has to be ready, and that is actually being ready into what is called as the frame buffer. Then as the GPU creates the images information is stored in this video memory frame buffer as a digital bitmap. So in other words, this frame buffers is nothing but a digital bitmap of an image. So normally you have a digital bitmap image onto your hard disk. Whenever you save any image, you save that image into hard disk in the form of digits. Similar sort of information is also there in the buffer. Whenever you create the image on a monitor, the image is actually created inside the buffer or inside a RAM, and then it is converted into RGB, and then it is ready to display. The amount of video memory installed may not be needed for a particular resolution. The extra memory often used for caching information for the graphics processor. You already know the cached memory. So this to just enhance the speed of this processing, we are using a cache additional memory as a cache memory for graphics processor. For example, the caching of commonly used graphical items such as text fonts and icons, these are actually stored in a cache memory. There are now you have a unified memory architecture. Use of portion of a system memory as frame buffer. It actually reduces the cost, and it is inferior. It has also inferior graphics performance. Then the greater the number of colors, higher is the resolution, as you know. The more the video memory will be required. If you go for higher resolution, obviously you require to store number of pixels, more number of pixels, so more number of RAM, so you require more video memory. However, since it is shared resource, reducing one will allow increase the other. That means here it is you have to compromise. Compromise, I mean, uh, if you don't have a GPU card, then you'll not have any additional spare video memory. Then in that case, for processing or showing display or even running videos, you'll have to entirely depend on your conventional memory. And hence, the processing could be slow. That depends upon your RAM speed as well as your CPU speed. Then next is video card, that is D2A converter, that is called as a DAC. So RAM connects directly to D2A converter known as RAM DAC. This is used to convert the digital image information stored in video memory into analog signals that a monitor can use. So you know these analog signals are RGB signals. Then this digital information is converted into respective R, G and P signals, and then that is given out through VGA terminals at the RGB pins. The rate at which the RAM DAC converts the information, the range of refresh rates, and that means how many times this video buffer or the frame should be displayed onto monitor. It will be depend upon the speed of RAM DAC as well as the design of the graphic processor. Sometimes multiple RAM DACs are also used to increase the number of frame buffers. Then video, then memory is there. This is additional component. You can also have this particular video card's resolution and color depth. So when I say resolution and color depth, you already know what is resolution. So this is given in terms of rows and columns. The maximum number of displayable pixels, that is nothing but the resolution. This is determined by the beam size and dot pitch. The smaller the dot pitch, more will be the number of pixels. Obviously, more will be the resolution. Also, it actually affects the sharpness of the picture and details of the visual image. Then next part is color depth. It is determined by the intensity of the three beams of light, red, green and blue, and the amount of information stored about the pixel. There are different modes for color depth. This color depth can be 8-bit depth, 16-bit depth or 24-bit depth. When you say 8-bit depth, then maximum you can have 256 colors can be displayed. So in this case, obviously, two bits will be used for R, 2 bits will be for G, and 2 bits for B. And ultimately, you can have these 8 bits will be entirely used, including brightness information will be used for 1 bit, and the another bits will be using the respective RGB colors. So total, there can be only 256 colors are possible because 8-bit combination can have 0 to 255 possible combinations. So you can have at the most 256 colors. But if you really wish to increase the number of colors, then you can go for 16-bit. So obviously, when you go for 16-bit, then you can have a more number of colors, that is 2 raised to 16 colors can be possible. So here, if you really want to have a very true color, that is millions of colors, then in that case, you can go for 24-bit or a 32-bit or a 48-bit. Any color depth above 24, it is called as the true color depth or true color mode. Then what is attribute controller? So when you say attribute, that is nothing but we normally say that is the color produced by that particular RGB combination. So this in earlier days when there was a limitation and when there was not a development of pixels, okay, concept was not there, or digital picture, digital monitors were not evolved. At that time, they were using a concept what is called as a color lookup table. You can have certain bits combination, and both for that bit combination, certain one colors will be given to that particular pixel. So it will be used. This color palette normally used when display mode is not a, that means if this display is not a digital display or 48-bit. In such a cases, most used colors are stored in this CLUT, that is color lookup table. And what is the advantage of this? That even if you have a two colors, by using a color, it is possible to create what is called as the third color, and it is also possible to give a smoother appearance to certain abrupt transition. That means if certain colors are changing, case you can have certain transitions in between the two colors so that you can have a smoothing of changing color from one type to another type. So this is the attribute controller. Then next comes the what is the interface. That is how your video card is connected to your monitor. So the very first interface is RGB interface, which is the standard interface. Even today also we use the same interface. For desktop, when you connect monitor to VGA code, VGA socket, at that time you are using the interface what is called as the RGB. We have already seen that video RAM is responsible or RAM DAC is responsible for converting this video or map of digital image into respect to RGB signals, and then at the same time green, blue, and two lines for horizontal and vertical synchronization so that the scanning will continuously go on without any interruption. Then CRT controller in the video card generates the horizontal and vertical signals. So actually this is CRT controller in the video card because we have CRT controller card, and that is a part of video card. It not only it generates the horizontal and vertical signal along with RGB signals, and you already know now what is the duration of horizontal signals, vertical signals, and what are the frequency of these two signals. Then next output interface is a composite interface. Suppose if any output that is given and if you want to see this particular output on television, now it is possible. Earlier it was possible. There was a say maybe 10 years back, if you want to connect your computer to TV, it was possible, but for that you required to use what is called as an TV tuner card. So that was additional expansion card people were using when there was not compatibility between monitor and television. So this TV tuner card was responsible for generating first chrominance signals, that is color signals, then luminance signals, that is a black and white signal we call it the intensity signals. After generation of chrominance and luminance signals, both these are time multiplexed with horizontal and vertical sync to give you what is called as a composite video signal. So you already know TV works with composite video signal. So if you really want to see anything from computer to on a TV screen, you have to convert this video signal into a very similar to a composite video signal, and that was doing by a TV tuner card. And for that, this particular interface is called as a composite interface. Now you don't require this, right? Because today's TV are so sophisticated, it has got a lot of sockets available. They don't have only composite sockets, but they also have two important sockets. That is what we call as one is your VGA socket and another is HDMI socket. In some of the TV, they do have digital video interface sockets directly. So this is a one more interface from computer to monitor. Now you also have a third interface that is called as a DVI interface. That is called as a digital video interface. Instead of now there are two ways that how this video card will work. Video card gives two data as in the shown in the block diagram. You will find that you also get the analog data as well as you can directly get the digital data. So to give analog data or digital data, it will depends upon your type of monitor. If you have a traditional CRT monitor, you need to use this digital data will be converted into DAC signal, D2A signal, then these RGB signals through VGA, it will be applied to your CRT monitor. But if you have a very sophisticated monitor, that is digital monitor, you can directly feed this RAM data, that is digital data, will be directly given to your LCD monitor or LCD display or LED display. So that this, if this monitor is digital monitor, then it will directly. So for example, if you have a HDMI connector, which we normally use in our laboratory to connect TV and computers. If you have HDMI cable directly carries the digital data from this video RAM and it directly gives this particular data to the display unit of your TV. So there is no conversion of this directly. Whatever the image of the what is the image that is created in a RAM that is directly given to your display devices of TV, and it can directly, so there will be very fast data transmission, no conversion, and at the same time quality of the picture will be very large and the data of transmission will be very large. Ultimately, it will support a very large resolution, some 4K or 8K resolution. Then when we talk about the bus interface, you have a ISA interface or PCI interface. Now both interfaces are becoming obsolete now because ISA is nowhere in the computer used. PCI is being, now PCI interface is being replaced with the PCI Express. So both are absolute now. In other words, no video card will be available in today's computer having ISA interface or ISA socket or PCI socket. Then what is the most interface used nowadays is AGP, that is advanced or accelerated. Normally it is called as accelerated graphics port interface, or it can be also used as a peripheral component interconnect express interface, because we have seen express interface is almost 1,000 times faster than PCI interface. In this AGP interface, accelerated graphic port, single dedicated point-to-point connect. That is what we say. This is direct connection between memory to GPU. Pipeline transfer, that is data are transmitted in the pipeline. That is whatever the data to be displayed. The next what is to be displayed already the images are created in the pipeline or stored into video RAM buffers, or what we call as the frame buffers, and then will be video RAM will be shared being replaced by new PCI Express. Now this AGP is also becoming slow. Now you'll find that very few people go for AGP. Most of the people their requirements are satisfied even by using a PCI Express card, because this is sufficiently faster. Then video, that is initialization of hardware setting during boot up. During boot up, you can do certain setting. It provides a set of standard routines to control and use the video cards. What are those routines? It could be change the display mode, that is text mode or graphics mode. Then some command like what you use in C programming, go to XY. They can directly go to the specified X position and Y position. It can change the color, it can write the text, or it can color the text, or various color functions can be used by using this bias functions. Traditionally, video cards were built according to certain standard CGA, that is color graphics adapter, video graphics array, super video graphics array, etc., and provided the same functionality through the standard routines. Video card interfacing. Nowadays, how you do a video card interfacing? There are two ways. Older video card provide a set of standard routines accessed through BIOS. Nowadays, you don't require to go through the BIOS. Rather, you'll find there are certain display drivers, and probably this is the best way to understand how, if your video is not working or if your video is not supporting to your required resolution, then in that case you have to search your proper appropriate display driver. If you install that particular display driver, your all the problems of videos almost are removed. Then let's come to certain. So this is all about the video cards. Now in short, in 5-10 minutes, I'll discuss the video related problems and how you can troubleshoot those particular video problems. The very first problem is choppy, blurry or jerky video playback. That means there is a jerks in the videos, or there is a blur, or there you find certain cuttings are there, slashes are there in the pictures. Then here this is because the poor video quality can be attributed to corrupt SD cards, or camera glitches are there while shooting the video, or there can be certain codec issues, coding and decoding issues, or certain outdated media players, or not a compatible media players to the respective video files, because most of the video files runs on a specific video players. There are many video players which does support most of the video files, so you have to make the you have to install the respective media players which actually supports those type of video files. Then if this problem continues, you can try to play your video in another media player and update your drivers if required. Sluggish or video playing slowly. If your video is very slow or sluggish, the problem could be with the internet speed or a browser or a computer or the video file itself. Update the video card drivers and disable hardware acceleration through setting. This you can sort out this particular problem. Then there can be out of sync audio video lag issue. That means if there is no synchronous audio and video, then there you can compensate this by using either installing a new media player or repairing the software is a much simpler way to fix audio lag issue in videos. There can be possibility there is no sound in the video. If there is no sound, ensure that connections of the external speaker are proper. Update the sound driver, because sound driver is also just like video driver. You also need to install your sound driver through the device manager on your system. Now let's see there. These are the common problems and these are the solutions given to this. Now if you face any video problems, it is suggested that you must go for creating a system restore point. So this is the one facility given by Windows operating system. Windows operating system, whenever any new software is installed, it automatically creates the system restore point. And if there is any problems in your system, or it gets hang, it doesn't start, or if it has got certain problems, then you can restore that particular. You can fall back to that restore point, and from that restore point, let us say if I created a restore point from at somewhere 1 month back for maybe precautionary purpose, or if something goes to the wrong, if something goes wrong after installing certain softwares or after, then I know that 1 month back my machine was very good, my softwares are running, and if I want to create that point again, it is possible in Windows operating system that you can go to that particular restore point and everything you can, if any problems are there, that can be mostly removed by going back. What is happen only, whatever the work you created in the last 1 month, that will be lost. That is the only disadvantage of using a restore point. But most of the times it is always preferable to use a restore point. That is why for solving any video problems, it is suggested you create a restore point in, then go for installing some additional drivers or softwares, or then go for fault finding. Very first option is that this is the common problem for videos related issues. Install the latest motherboard chipset driver, because see, when we say chipset drivers, most of the times your video display is controlled by either video drivers or chipset drivers. So you can latest you know most of the times you have a CDs available with the chipset drivers. Nowadays, as I said, there is no CDs come with the computers, but these chipset drivers are available on the website of the respective manufacturers, which you can download and you can immediately install or update these particular chipset drivers. Then second problem, you can uninstall your old display drivers and then install the latest display driver if you have got certain problems. Then you can also disable your sound systems and you can check whether there is any problems. Again, you can enable your sound system once the problem is solved. You can slow down your EGP port. If your EGP port is creating certain problems, just to overclock it, you can underclock your video card, or you can operate this AGP or video card at somewhat lower frequency than the higher frequency to counteract those particular problems. You can also physically check this. You can check the CPU or RAM whether it is working, especially VRAM or your RAM and CPU. And ultimately, you must have a stable power supply. If any power supply problems, that is a root. If there is variation in the power supply, and if you do not get exact power supply to the RAM, that is what is 1.5, 1.7, or whatever it may be, that has to be given to the proper operation of the transistors or maybe a thin film or an integrated circuit inside the ICs. you need to give a proper voltages. Then that problems could be your this power supply problem. So this is all about I wish to cover under these display adapters. Now from next time I will go for two important topics I'm going to cover, though that is not mentioned into your syllabus directly. Next time I'm going to cover printers, that is the types of printers. Okay, so the mostly we use laser printers, or you can also use the dot matrix printers. So I'll just give the operations of this and maybe certain typical types of printers, their characteristics, operations, constructions, and there may be different features of each printers. Then in one or two lectures, I'll cover all the printers, and in one lectures, I'll cover the scanners and the operations of a scanner or principles of scanner and all these. So in next two lectures, one lectures I'll cover about printers. In next lecture, I'll cover about the scanners. And after the two lectures, then we can safely go to the last topic that is related to networking concept. So this is what I wish to cover today. If you have any difficulties, you can ask me the difficulties. Okay, there are only 25 students out there. So I request you to just make your attendance immediately within 10-15 as soon as my lecture is over. Today I just wanted to, I am not going to give any more time to you for marking your attendance because I just wanted to note how many people are there as a 25. Now here it seems there are only 25. I do not want more than 25 attendance to be put into it. So this is already there. So just go through this and give it. Hello. आवाज येते का माझा?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ओके. आवाज क्लिअर होता माझा? कारण मी
Yes,
आपलं
sir.
नेट वापरलंय. माझ्या हॉटस्पॉट वरनं लेक्चर घेत नाही. कॉलेजच्या नेटवरनं घेत होतो पण मला इथे दाखवता येतो की you have a certain problems of recording and all this. Anyway, I'm just stopping my